Let's talk a little bit about this course upon which some of these men will be risking their lives, and also, of course, will be trying to win a Gold Cup. This course, we're appreciative of the fact that Lee Eisen of the Coast Geodetic Survey, who laid out this course with the help of the Coast Guard, it consists of 3 statute miles. I don't know whether we can break this down for you, not camera-wise, but perhaps we can. This is the log boom area. Now, along that log boom area, from the 1,000-foot buoy to our left, which is the buoy approaching into the north turn, it's a red buoy. These buoys, incidentally, were used over Lake Chelan, over on the far side of the course. From that buoy back to the 5th buoy of the south corner is a total distance of 5,970.60 feet, and without referring too rapidly to Lloyd Johnson, our math major up here, and the man upon whom I rely for all figures, fancy or otherwise, I think that's pretty little over a mile, if I'm correct. And the distance over here on this side of the course, right next to us on the official barge, where we're just offshore some 500 or 800 feet, from the 1,000-foot buoy down to the deceleration buoy in this inland stretch. In other words, there's 1,000 feet between the deceleration buoy and buoy number 1 in the south corner. But from the 1,000-foot mark, which is just 1,000 feet away from the start line, down to the deceleration buoy in the south corner, there's a total of 4,110 feet. So your greatest maximum speeds will be in that backstretch because there is a greater distance involved there. The distance between the buoys in each corner represents a 5-buoy turn. Between buoy number 1 and buoy number 2, the distance measures out precisely to 487.3500 feet. And that is equidistant, 1 through 5. The same applies for the north turn. The distance between the deceleration buoy and the second buoy up on the backstretch is a distance of 3,020 feet. And then there's also a smaller margin within that. Now, the reason that I'm telling you that is because every once in a while on our lead boat, we will be telling you the speed, the miles per hour that they hit between the exit buoy, or the buoy just past that, the second buoy up the line on the backstretch, up to the deceleration buoy, assuming that that is where they will achieve their maximum speed just prior to the cutoff point. And there we will be able to give you a clocking on how fast that lead boat is going, whether it's going 125, 130 miles an hour, or whatever. We will also be able to give you the speed through the turns. Now, a good boat, one whose driver is thoroughly cognizant of the situation. There's been a great deal of discussion about what's the difference between this course and a 3 3/4 mile course. The 3 3/4 mile course allows for a greater margin of error through the corners. When you have only 2 straightaways, such as I have just mentioned, one of just a little over a mile and one of less than a mile on both sides of the course, then the driving skill through a corner is going to count for a lot. A good driving element through that corner under competitive conditions is around 14 seconds. During a time trial, conceivably they could hit less than that. Now, Hawaii Kai, with Jack Regis at the wheel, came out here and turned around 118, 119 miles on a 3-mile course. That was one time around the course. He merely wanted to prove something to himself, and he did it about 6:15 in the morning, and Mike Welch and the former Slow Motion 4 crew that now own Hawaii Kai clocked him at it. This means that he must achieve speeds of around 150 or 160 miles an hour on a straightaway, presuming that it takes him about 14 to 16 seconds to go through the corner. Of course, the difficulty through the corners becomes greater, relatively speaking, as you go up in speed. So the driving example that we had out here, I don't know how many of you happen to see the driving qualification of the boat of Miss Thriftway, the defending champion. Bill Muncie never went over 125 to 130 miles an hour in either straightaway, either over here on the inland stretch or over on the back stretch. And yet he achieved a speed of 108 miles an hour. And he did this without strain to the boat. The way he did this was to go through each corner, each turn, in an extremely competent fashion. I think that in one instance through the north turn, he clocked in less than 14 seconds through a turn. This threw less strain on his boat in the straightaways, and he was able to keep her together and make it an easy ride for himself. This is where we have advanced to as far as driving skill is concerned. If I were to venture a personal opinion at this moment, I would not pick one boat over any other. I would merely ask you to keep in mind that on this course, with the way the boats have developed themselves mechanically, And the way each one of these boats has easily qualified at over 95 miles an hour. And the basic element of mechanic skill that has gone into these boats, I think that the final and ultimate decision will rest with the driving skill that is involved. We will now have to see if the driving skill of these men has kept pace with the mechanical developments. It might be that with speed being what it is on this course, this being an extremely rapid course, they're both well prepared and also have that sound element of luck, because there is no race driver, there is no race owner who doesn't believe in the final analysis that he must have a good percentage of luck running his way in order to get the necessary breaks. You heard Willard Rhodes say that they have never been better prepared. That is true at this moment, but just one heat from now, or in Heat 1B, when Miss Thriftway goes out there, something could happen, and immediately they go from being well prepared to being in a real press. The duress is on, and then it will be a matter of whether or not they are well prepared for emergencies, rather than for a state of being competent as far as driving is concerned all the time. So we have several battles within battles around here, and the element that you see in the pits is one type of contest. The thing that you see out here where these boats maneuver for a start. This boat that is on the course right now, for instance, the short circuit. Here you have a driver who has a definite plan in mind. I don't know what that plan is, but I have watched him drive now 4 or 5 times. And his plan of operation is always adjusted to the conditions in which he finds himself and the boat in which he is driving. Chuck Thompson, as the driver of Miss Pepsi, was without a doubt a combination of the boat and the driver, the most feared combination of any boat on the water today. And now he has the old Tempo 7, and he has a 3-pointer instead of the stepped-up hydro principle that is involved in the Miss Pepsi. So Chuck Thompson is someone to be feared. This is a natural routine for him. He comes out like this approximately a half an hour before a race. He is carefully examining every facet of that backstretch. This is Chuck Thompson moving up the backstretch, timing his boat out. I think that those of you here in the city of Seattle and those of you who have joined us on our network would like to know something about our basic type of coverage that you can come to expect as you watch through the afternoon. And so prior to the actual start of the race, with thousands of people crawling along the shore and taking up every bit of space that we can see as far as the naked eye reaches, let us give you who are sitting at home and watching wherever you are an idea of what King TV will offer in the way of coverage. This is Lake Washington's floating bridge. It marks the northern boundary of the course. And proceeding from north to south, your north-turned camera will be a 50-inch lens. Then here is the official barge. This is the barge from which I'm speaking to you at the moment. The 60-inch lens will be to my left as I look at the lake, and that will be manned by Al Smith. Then on the other end of our barge, and separated by several dozen photographers, etc., is Bobby Coons on the Zoomar lens. Back here in the pit area, well, we'll get to the pit area. Let's proceed down the course here and move to the south turn. Now, shortly after the race starts, those boats will hit maximum speed at the start line if they are lucky to time themselves out. By the time they get a quarter of a mile down the stretch, they'll be hitting their maximum speed for this particular stretch, and they will have had that long run from practically up by the Lake Washington Bridge. As you look at the south turn, as it comes into you on the 100-inch lens, you will see boats traveling at you at speeds of anywhere from 140 to 160 miles an hour, depending upon whether they're ahead or behind at the moment, and whether they have good position. And this is what you will see on the lens of Channel 5 developed by Al Smith and Earl Thoms, the 100-inch lens. Now, turning ourselves back to the unlimited hydroplane pit area, which is being used for the first time this year, and which incidentally has proven to be a very efficiently organized piece of land that juts out from the shores of Lake Washington. Here we'll have, the best thing I can call it is a giraffe-like 40-inch lens, which will give you an overall view of the pits and will also give you a striking view of the boats as they come out of the north turn, in addition to the very sound coverage that you get from a north turn camera that will show you as they proceed through that area. In the pits also will be a movable microphone. It'll be a pogo step microphone that can take you, a camera which will take you into the pit area in an intimate way that you have never had before. It'll take you really close to the boats You'll be right next to the owners, to the drivers, and to the mechanical situation that is involved in that boat at the moment. That lens will allow you an intimacy that you have never had before. Up here, where we've had to cut down a couple of trees so that we could frame in the course properly, we have a sky-high Zumar, and Al Houston, a man who is used to heights, having worked over at Lake Chelan on that same type of camera over there when we ran the Apple Cup. He will be conducting that sky-high Zumar. So there is your basic coverage of a race which will include 15 unlimited hydroplane boats. What's an unlimited hydroplane boat? It's a boat that's anywhere from 25 to 40 feet in length. It goes at speeds anywhere in competition up to 160, 170 miles an hour. It's a boat that basically weighs anywhere between, on an average, between 3,500 up to 5,000 pounds. It's a boat that is generally powered by an Allison or a Rolls. And that brings me to another struggle which appears on the scene over and above the struggle which we've already mentioned, namely that of driving skill, of mechanical skill, and also the general luck that is certainly part of every race. We come to the situation of the engines, the battle between the Rolls and the Allison, and Bob Brinton, who has a family background of Gold Cup racing, inasmuch as his father was involved in the racing field some years back. Bob's written a real interesting article on the battle between Rolls and Allisons, the comparative difference between the two. It's perhaps much too lengthy and much too technical to go into now at the particular moment, but we can tell you this, that the talk in the pits is of the boats that have qualified. Well, we could run down the list for you here, if we will, on our board, and tell you those boats that will be Allison powered and those that will be Rolls powered. Miss Wahoo will be powered by an Allison engine, and her owner, Bill Boeing Jr., has her very well prepared indeed. Up to this year, the Wahoo has never been known to have a great amount of terrific speed. She has been a very steady boat, and her driver, her crew, and her owner have been learning very steadily. The Gale 5 will be powered by an Allison, will be driven by Bill Cantrell, who has driven at Indianapolis and who has driven at any number of these races. He's a real veteran, and if his boat holds together, he's going to be real rough at the finish. The Miss Seattle is a boat that was formerly powered by an Allison, but which now has turned to a Rolls engine. And that boat, incidentally, is the former Slow Motion 5. It's the boat that Lou Fagel flipped out here at about 165, 170 miles an hour just prior to going to the north turn. And Al Smith, the man who's now looking at this, is the man who caught that on a 40-inch lens for you. You probably have seen it on film at some time. The Miss Bardol is powered by an Allison engine, and the Miss Rocket by an Allison engine. And in the case of Miss Rocket, I think that she is powered by pretty much of a stock model. They haven't done too much to her in the way of hooking her up with high-powered fuel. She's pretty much of a basic engine. She rests at this point in the same stage of the game as Wahoo did last year. The Miss Thriftway, up to this year, has been powered by an Allison engine. Her owner, Willard Rhodes, acting as a representative owner for the Associated Grocer Group that owns this boat, and the Thriftway too, decided to move to a Rolls engine. Heading up the Thriftway camp is the man who designed these three-pointers and who built the Miss Thriftway, and also the Thriftway 2, which is a new cab-over design, and we'll get to that in just a moment and why. Miss Thriftway is now powered by a Rolls engine. This gives Bill greater acceleration out of the corners, which he wants to have because his turning ability through the corners will give him an edge, he believes, on other boats. That is his own personal belief. And if he has greater acceleration coming out of the corners, he's going to be tougher to work against. Also, we have seen him even with an Allison last year in Detroit when he drove perhaps his outstanding race competitively against Miss Pepsi. He passed a couple of boats on the outside corner on an extremely rough course, so the boy really knows what he's doing through the corners. Breathless 2 is a brand new boat, but she's powered by an Allison. And Shanty is powered by an Allison. Now, the case of the Shanty, they have souped up that engine, and unless they have done something entirely different to her, Howard Gittablenko has quite a record back of him. He's the top engine man on this particular setup, and he has any number of Gold Cup winners behind him. The Suchcrest 3 has two engines, and they're both Allisons, and incidentally, they're the Miss Pepsi engines because Jack Schaefer blew up his other engine out here in a previous effort. So they shipped out the old Miss Pepsi engines. That boat, incidentally, has now been retired and is in the Detroit Museum. And the Suchcrest 3 is powered by two Allisons. The Gale 6 is powered by two Allisons sitting in tandem. And we get to Heat 1C, and the Maverick is powered by an Allison. And the Hawaii Kai has a Rolls engine there, and the Slow-Mo crew are a leading exponent of the Rolls engine. And they are backed up in that by Lou Fagel, who is part of our panel of experts along with Joe Taggart. The Thriftway 2 is powered by a Rolls, the Miss US 1 by an Allison, and the Short Circuit by an Allison, which I think is pretty much basically stock. It hasn't been hyped up too much. So there you have a situation in which engines are going to play an all-important part. And it takes us to the situation when we can remind you that you're watching the 50th Annual Gold Cup Regatta coming to you from Seattle.
Okay, well, this just happened to us. This is Wild Bill Cantrell, about whom Bill has been talking. We just asked him a question which we'll repeat for you. How is the Gale 5 as far as you're concerned?
Well, it's okay as far as we know. We never know it'll get out there and start running real hard, what'll happen, but as far as we know, it's mechanically okay.
This is a relatively new boat in terms of its being constructed recently, isn't it,
It was
Bill?
built last year, yeah. I had it out here in the Seafair race, but it was rather wild. We hadn't got it calmed down.
Bill, whom do you look to provide the most competition in 1A for you?
Wahoo.
Wahoo?
Wahoo and probably Bardall. They're both going good, real good, and I know the Wahoo's going because I saw him go when he qualified and up at Lake Tahoe. And what's doing a very good job on the Bardall. He's really riding it good.
Bill, I think that probably there's no one here actively engaged in the pits who can answer this question better than you. You'll recall 4 or 5 years ago when you and I first met and talked that there were many problems about the qualification of young drivers. And remember the plumber deal and everything?
Yeah, that's, of course, that was somebody that just got up a rhubarb going. It was never anything mentioned.
No,
like that at all.
And I think maybe we could point out at this time that actually Bill Cantrell never did say anything about anybody being a plumber instead of a driver. Let's make that on the record, because I know that's
I'd like for it to go on the record, because all the guys, if they ever were plumbers, they're masters at it now, because Colonel Shea and Bill and all the guys are really going and doing a masterful job in their boats. You couldn't find any better chauffeurs in such short a time anywhere in the country. It's amazing how those guys have wised up and really got going. They're really good.
Bill, it's funny that you went ahead and talked that way, because you actually anticipated exactly the question that I was going to ask you. As a man who has driven for a long time and under all sorts of conditions, that was
cycle that you go by and do things, they just happen. And what's going to be will be, and we can't do anything about it.
I talked to a little group of people in this general area, and they asked me to ask you to stay off their lawns this year, Bill.
Well, I hope so. We're down here quite a piece away from the lawn. Of course, there's some along down here, but I hope I can stay off the lawn.
You sleeping?
Yeah, you're just sneaking, hiding out. Jack Regis, the driver of Hawaii Kai. Jack, what's this the boys are telling me about? They have to keep on your back all the time, make you go out there. What, are you the lazy type, huh?
I guess I am. No, I'm not lazy.
I can recall a few years ago, I think it was a couple years back, and Joe Taggart was getting in the Slow-Mo 4, and you were getting in the Hawaii Kai, and you started out on the course, and you said, "I'll follow you, Joe." Now, how about it? You're not going to follow any tactics like that today, are you?
No, I think I've learned a lot since then.
Well, you sure have proved to be a very good driver. You satisfied with the way the boat's performing?
It's running beautiful.
Got everything you want?
I hope so.
Okay, Jack. Good luck to you out there on the course.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
How are you? You all set now? There's no question about
We've never been
prepared.
We've never been better prepared than we are today. Oftentimes when you go into a race, there's something in the back of the crew's mind, you know, in my mind as to, gee, I wonder if this is going to work all right, but that isn't the case today.
This time you're
Everything
right.
is perfect.
But I bet they still got, I was talking to some of the boys in one of the other boats, and they still talked about butterflies. You guys get it too, don't you?
You all get it.
How about you? What is your attitude before a race? Do you get to, I mean, you relax to the point where you
Well,
can
my crew keeps
grab
me
a
pretty-
sandwich if you want to, or
Well, I don't
just
eat on
kind
race
of-
day at all.
You don't? Some of the boys do, and some don't.
I drink a lot of water,
Uh-huh.
and don't want to take any chances on anything upsetting my stomach.
Uh-huh. Well, that's a good thing.
But we all in good spirits, esprit de corps and all that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
You're 1,000 feet in the air over world-famous Puget Sound. This is the port of Seattle, thriving hub of 1.5 million Pacific Northwesterners, the pleasure boat capital of the world, gateway to Alaska and the Orient. For the next 60 minutes, wherever you are in these United States, Seattle will provide one of the biggest thrills you have ever known. Today, this is the speedboat capital of the world, unlimited speed. In a setting of 193 miles of waterfront, you are about to become a part of the climax of a rollicking, fun-filled week of Seattle Seafair. It's going to happen right down there, on the waters of Lake Washington, where the Kentucky Derby of speedboat racing, with the World's Championship for unlimited hydroplanes at stake, is about to take place. This is one end of the course, marked by the renowned Lake Washington floating bridge. And this is the other end, where the screaming hydroplanes will come roaring out of the turn to race at 150 miles an hour and faster in the final 30-mile heat. Observed, controlled, and reported from this nerve center of activity, where the officials and press are about to tell the story as it happens to waiting millions. This is the 50th running of the Championship Gold Cup race.
And this is Seattle Seafair 1957. From the antics of one of Captain Kidd's Seafair pirates to the annual return of the Air Force's Thunderbird jet supersonic precision flight demonstration team, this is the climax of some 190 days, 190 events in a 10-day span of Seattle Seafair. And there they are, the Thunderbirds from the Air Force. This is Tom Durgan speaking to you from the scene of the Golden Gold Cup. I'm sure that you've undoubtedly heard of the excitement and the thrills of unlimited hydroplane racing. Now, to affirm this, or perhaps to jog your memory, let's turn back the clock to August of 1955. The place right here on Lake Washington. Lou Fagel was at the wheel of Slow-Mo 5.
He's a quarter of the way through the backstretch in his third lap. He's halfway through the backstretch. He's three-quarters of the way through the backstretch, and he's moving into the... Oh! He went completely around. I don't know whether Lou is still in the boat or not. Is he out of the water? He fell out of the water, clear of the water. Can you find him, Al? The slow motion 5 is in the north turn, making one complete flip.
Driver Lou Fagel survived, and you'll meet him here at Lake Washington this afternoon. The boat has been rebuilt and renamed as Miss Seattle and competed today. Now, in just exactly 23 minutes, 7 of the world's fastest hydroplanes will thunder toward the starting line for the most coveted prize in unlimited competition. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the 50th Annual Gold Cup direct and live from Seattle, Washington. We are standing in the Stan Sayers Memorial Pits, the only pit area in the world specifically designed and constructed for unlimited hydroplanes. Now, among these, in the real sense of the phrase, ladies and gentlemen, this is the big time. Now, this is not the sport of a small, selected group of devoted fans. It might be hard to realize, but it's important to realize that this is the largest single event spectator sport in the world. Now, it takes its place with intercollegiate basketball championships at Madison Square Garden, attended by over 18,000 people. The Pacific Coast Conference Big Ten Championship at the Rose Bowl, attended by more than 100,000 people. The Army-Navy Classic at Municipal Stadium in Philadelphia with 105,000 attending. The internationally famous 500 at the Indianapolis Speedway, where upwards of 120,000 fans are in attendance. Now, today, in this magnificent natural amphitheater, nearly 1,500,000 people are lining these shores, eagerly anticipating with you, I'm sure, the final heat of the 1957 Gold. Send his subjects, dolphins, to the bottom of the sea to invite the captives of Davy Jones' locker to the carnival in the Port of Pleasure. This irks Davy Jones and his #1 torpedo, Captain Kidd, who declare war on Neptune and stage an attack on Seattle and Neptune's realm, which continues until the final curtain drops on the 10-day Fun Fest. Now, incidentally, and for your private information, the pirates' chief job is to kiss or chase the pretty girls as a mark of their disdain for the Seafair ruler. And by the way, the pirates win over King Neptune each year by burning Neptune's flagship, and a gigantic fireworks display in the city's harbor. And there they go, right into the pit area with one thing in mind: mayhem, lots of fun, and incidentally, pretty girls. Actually, we understand that they have very little trouble getting fellas to sign up to be Seafair pilots here in Seattle during this glorious week. A saber fight. Somebody is playing a flute. Photographers are getting out of the way. And for some strange reason, no girls are available. And as the pirates spirit away what pretty girls they can in their usual victorious manner, here comes the Royal Court of Seafair aboard the very royal yacht. There's Neptune Rex the Eighth, his Queen Sandra Marie, his Prime Minister, princesses, and court. Let's go down there to Bill Corcoran and greet them.
Seattle's official Seafair royalty, Her Royal Highness the Queen of the Seas, His Majesty King Neptune the Eighth, and Her Majesty's Prime Minister, Hope Sullivan.
Thanks, Bill, very much. On behalf of our royal party, Mr. T. Dayton Davies, our Majesty of the Seas, King Neptune the Eighth, his lovely Queen Sandra Marie Teslo, I'd like to welcome you to the climax of Seattle's Great Seafair. We've had 11 days of fun, recreation, and now we're at the Gold Cup, which, as you know, is the greatest single day's crowd.
Sullivan, Prime Minister, to Her Highness Sandra.
Where's Steve? The Royal Court and all the guests of the Royal Court have had a very busy week. All we subjects have enjoyed it very much, and we're very sorry that all you people across the nation haven't been able to enjoy it with us. However, our film camera crews have been recording the highlights just especially for you.
One of the nation's most colorful processions, the Seafair Grand Parade with 160 floats and marching units, was led by Bing Crosby and Phil Harris, who were later joined by Arthur Godfrey during the week of celebration. Visitors to Seafair came from all over the world. One of the most spectacular was the Japanese sailing ship Nippon Maru. The four-master is one of the world's last giant square riggers. The Canadian frigate John Kerry called at port, as did this crack Chinese squadron. Among the visiting royalty was Miss Alaska, a full-blooded Tlingit Indian. Yearly, Seafair's nautical theme is best seen as Seattle welcomes the fleet. Some 20 men of war steamed into Elliott Bay, headed by its flagship, the cruiser St. Paul. Shore leave included a rollicking street dance, and square dancing was the order of the day. The international flavor is a big part of Seafair. On one evening, the Chinese community takes over. Its Oriental Festival highlighted by the famous 50-man dragon. Then the Japanese community staged their Buddhist celebration of Bonadori, a festival in honor of the dead. Even the New Orleans flavor is part of Seafair, with Mardi Gras much in evidence. But Seafair is centered on Seattle's lakes and sound, where the water skiing championships thrill one and all. And a sight to behold is a fleet of mainsails flying before the wind on Lake Washington. There are sports for everyone, including the Scottish Highland Games, traditional track and field events of the Heather. And a famous salmon fishing derby, this one for father and son, and for mother and daughter. There were even some characters who decided to race their rafts in the first annual Slough Fair Regatta. The Aqua Follies are a must at Seafair, with some of the world's finest performers to headline the show. And for spectacle, those pirates can really warm things up as the marauding band sets fire to and sinks one of King Neptune's ships.
Well, the elimination heats are over, and the tension is really beginning to mount here in the pits as the drivers get set to rush sleigh here for this final heat of Gold Cup 1957. And ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the 50th Annual Gold Cup direct and live from Seattle, Washington. Pals, when I tell you that the tension is mounting, we're not kidding a bit. Let's take a moment and meet some of these hero drivers whom you'll see out on the lake in just a little while. Russ, you come here, pal. All over the nation.
We're on television.
That's right, from coast to coast. New York and Los Angeles and elsewhere. This is Lieutenant Colonel Russ Schley of Strategic... Full?
Full.
A chicken colonel already.
You're demoted.
I'm sorry. Russ Schley, full colonel, Strategic Air Command, who drives Shanty. What did you just do with the Shanty? Would you fill us in?
Yes, we were having bad riding characteristics on the boat. So we've changed the engine, the prop, the gearbox to give us a little different attitude and hope that'll improve the situation. In the test run, it did. Not quite as much as we'd like, but it might be enough. We don't know.
A new prop, too.
Yes, we're sitting in second position and a good solid second, but a very poor first. Thriftway has first pretty well cinched if everything goes well with her.
Well, all the luck in the world, Russ.
Thank you very much.
You betcha. We'll see you. Russ Schley with 700 points. And here's Bill Stead, driver of Maverick. Both these boats are owned by W.T. Wagner. Bill, you've got, what, 569 points, isn't that right?
I think so.
And what are you going to try to do? Are you going to go out and tromp on it?
I guess we'll just go out and run. Chances of my winning at this stage due to breaking down the last heat are rather remote. But we'll go out and have some fun anyway.
Here's something we should look for. Are you going to try to drive protection for Bill, for Russ, if you get a chance?
No, not protection.
Just run your own race.
We just run our own race. It's a hard deal to try and do that, actually. Very hard.
Okay, Bill, get out and make it go like a bomb, boy. And now let's go down and talk to Chuck Herring.
And here is one of the contenders making their first appearance in the final heat of a Gold Cup. The Breathless 2, driven by young Jay Murphy. This is Jay's 25th birthday today, and his father, Oakland industrialist J. Philip Murphy. Lots of luck to you in this final heat, Jay. You are tied for third on points now with 525. Mr. Murphy, if you win this race, will you take the cup back to, or down to California, or what?
Well, I'll make up my mind. We'll think it over. We don't know what decision we'll make yet. Let's win it first.
Lots of luck to you, Jay.
Thanks a lot.
I know you want to get right in that boat. We won't hold you up anymore.
Okay, fine.
Now we move back up the line to our next contender.
Driver of Hawaii Kai.
Jack just hopped in the boat because he wants to be able to get the countdown. You see, these drivers actually take a very careful countdown before the race so they know exactly when they're going on. But I'd like to talk here to Mike Welch, who is in charge of the Hawaii Kai, one of the contenders in this final heat. Mike, tell me about something about the acceleration you get out of this boat. Now, you got the heaviest boat in this heat, right?
That's right, Dick. It weighs around 6,600 pounds, and we accelerate from 80 to 140 miles an hour in approximately 8 seconds.
Well, that's moving an awful lot of weight awfully fast. Now let's go back down to Chuck Herring for another quick talk with the driver.
10, 9, 8.
And as the countdown begins for the 10-minute warning before this race gets underway, let's talk to some of the Detroit contingent who are out here all the way from the Motor City. Mr. Wild Bill Cantrell, driver of Gale 5, who is going to sit out this final heat, and Roy Doobie will drive in his place. Mr. Joe Shaneth, owner of Gale 5 and Gale 6. Gale 6 is sitting out this entire last heat.
That's right.
And Mr. Jack Schaefer, well known in Detroit, whose boat, Such Crest 3, failed to make it into the final heat. And we are very sorry indeed, sir. I know you had lots of difficulties earlier in the week. I think you did well to even qualify, considering the fact the whole bottom was torn out of the boat when last Monday or Tuesday.
We feel pretty good about that. At least we tried.
Well, it's a tribute to your ingenuity and your crews in getting it ready to go that well.
I want to give full credit to my crew for getting it ready. That's for sure.
Wonderful. And as far as Gale 5's chances, she is tied on points for third place. And lots of luck.
Well, it's anybody's boat race yet, so we don't know yet till the final flag comes down.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One of the boats competing here today is the Maverick. You met its driver, Bill Stead, just a short while ago. We had another Maverick here in the pits yesterday, and he climbed into the cockpit of the boat Maverick. He also had this to tell us.
I'm sure many of you television fans across the nation have heard of a new television western to premiere on the ABC television network this September, and to be seen each Sunday night at 7:30. It's to be called Maverick. And here the star of Maverick, seated in W.T. Wagner's own Maverick, Mr. Jim Garner. Jim, it's nice to have you with us. Tell us a little bit about this new television western.
Well, the Maverick is just about what the name implies. He's an unbranded calf, more or less, and a drifter and a gambler, and just enjoys life in general.
Is this what you would call an adult western, Jim?
Very much so, yeah. Mm-hmm. I will kiss the girls now and then.
You will kiss girls on occasion.
Yes.
You may set a whole new trend, Jim. Well, after sitting in this boat for just a moment, do you think you like horses or hydroplanes the best?
Well, I love hydroplanes and I love horses. This is just too many horses for me.
With the roar of unlimited hydroplanes behind us, Gold Cup 1957 is about to roar into its final phase. For a rundown on the competing boats and for all the thrills and heart-pounding excitement, we now take you to the Dean of Unlimited Hydroplane Telecasting, the sports director of the King Broadcasting Company, Bill O'Mara.
Thank you, Tom, and good afternoon, everyone. The hour waxes late, and we aren't too far away from the start of our third and final heat. Let me tell you something about how these boats arrived here. There are a total of 7 in this heat. They are the 7 top-pointed boats who have ultimately come to this point after having each had a chance to race some 30 miles in 2 separate heats, a total of 60 miles in all. Miss Thriftway, the defending champion, has a total of 800 points and a total elapsed time of 34 minutes, 36 and 6/10 seconds. Shanty has 700 points and a time of 36 minutes, 38 seconds. In order in their points, Gale 5 with 525, Breathless 2 with 525, Maverick with 469, Short Circuit with 469, Hawaii Kai with 400, but she has but competed in one 30-mile heat. Some of the rules that you'll want to know about. First of all, the matter of scoring. First place is worth 400 points. Second, 300. Third, 225. Fourth, 169. Fifth, 127. Sixth, 95. And seventh, 71 points. Each section of each heat scored individually according to the above table of points. Now, there's a very peculiar thing in this race. It's actually a 90-mile race with 2 stops. So there are a matter of bonus points and total elapsed time. 1. A boat which completes the entire race in the highest rate of speed shall be awarded an additional 400 points. 2. A boat which achieves the highest heat speed shall be awarded an additional 400 points. Now, here's what you must remember. A boat must finish the race, all 90 miles, in order to receive any bonus points. Keep this in mind. In case the boat achieving the fastest heat speed fails to finish the race, this particular bonus of 400 points will not be awarded to any boat. Now, at the moment, the fastest heat speed has been turned in by Hawaii Kai, but she went dead in her second section of the second heat, and so her fastest time of 16 minutes, 23 and 4/10 seconds is up for grabs in this one particular instance. That someone in this final third heat must turn in a time better than 16 minutes, 23 and 4/10 seconds. There are buoy markers out there. If you hit a buoy, you are disqualified. You must not touch the we mentioned. The next gun that you hear will be a 1-minute gun. They will have 60 seconds to mill around, and when they come down to the starting line, there will be a picture taken of the start, and then we will be notified by the official barge within the next minute or so as to whether or not the start sees anybody disqualified. And by disqualification, I simply mean this, that you will have to go an extra lap if you go over that line before the clock is straight up. And this is the clock that we are involved in. As it turns around, you will notice that it will go to all black, and no boat must be over that line before the clock is, in the terms of the trade, straight up. We have a total of 7 boats out here at the moment, and we're checking over the various rooster tails, as we call the water that springs up behind them. In this race, you have Miss Thriftway, the defending champion, the boat that won the title last year in Detroit in a terrific duel with Miss Pepsi of Detroit. This is Thriftway moving across the infield and to the far side, or the north side. This course runs north and south. North is to our left, south is to our right. You will hear me refer to the south corner and the north corner. Each turn is 5 buoys wide. This course is 3 miles around. The backstretch from the south corner up to the north corner is a little over a mile long. That is where the boats will achieve their greatest speeds. They will average anywhere from 130 up to 170 miles in that stretch. Through the turns, they have 485 feet between each buoy. There are 5 buoy turns in each end. Now the boats are beginning to shape up, and they must not come down past that 1,000-foot mark now that that 1-minute gun is sounded. There is a buoy marker out here 1,000 feet away from the start line. All of these boats will attempt to come down on the line full bore at about 150 to 160 miles an hour. Again, this field consisting of Thriftway, the defending champion, Shanty, Gale 5, Breathless, Maverick, Short Circuit, and Hawaii Kai. 6 of those 7 boats have completed a total of 60 miles. They are in contention for the gold cut. And we are certainly definitely coming around now to a point where we have everybody shaping up. 2 of the boats are cutting across the infield, coming down here real tight on the inside corner. The defending champion, Miss Thriftway, is in the middle. Hawaii Kai is right next. And we have the Maverick on the inside. Wait and see if there was anybody jumping the gun on that start. We'll wait for the official word. We're now moving into the south corner on the first of 10 times around the course. The Shanty is turning back up across the infield, coming back up across the middle, and evidently missed one inside of a buoy. She was crowded out. Now she must turn around and come back this side of the buoy and get so she's way last in the 7-boat field. First out is Hawaii Kai. And then second, on the outside corner, we have Miss Thriftway and Maverick. And there's quite a race out there as Thriftway is on the outside of the spray, going up the backstretch. Hawaii Kai, which had trouble in the second heat, is now moving real hard. And we have Miss Thriftway on the outside of Maverick. It's a 2-boat race up the backstretch, halfway up the backstretch. The rest of the field is pretty well stretched out. We'll give you their position as they come around. This is the first of 10 laps around here. Hawaii Kai moving into the north corner now, as the former Slow Motion 4 crew now owns this boat. It's a boat which was formerly owned by Edgar Kaiser, is driven by Jack Regas. In the north turn, in first place, Hawaii Kai, and in second place, we have the Maverick. And in third place, on the outside, we have Miss Thriftway, the defending champion. And Shanty is last, coming hard up the backstretch. Here's your first. In second place is Maverick. Maverick in second place is a total of 7 seconds behind the leader. In third place is the defending champion, Miss Thriftway. And she is 13 seconds behind the leader. In fourth place is Gale 5 at the end of the first lap. And Short Circuit is in fifth place. Breathless is in sixth. And in seventh is Shanty 1. Moving into the south corner now. Your lead boat was Hawaii Kai. It was a legal start. Everybody was right up on the money. A beautiful start for everybody concerned. Out of the south corner now, and his second time around is Hawaii Kai. And the Maverick is running in second place. In third place is Miss Thriftway. And the rest of the field swung out through the south corner. 3/4 of the way up the backstretch, on her second time around the course, is Hawaii Kai. She conceivably could be the winner of this heat, but she will not win the Gold Cup because she hasn't completed another 30 miles. She will have completed but 60 miles out of the necessary 90. However, the Maverick is very definitely in contention, and the Miss Thriftway is running in third place, and now the Gale 5 comes hard after the Miss Thriftway. Moving through the north corner, here is your north corner camera that gives you an indication of how these boats go through there. They're moving through there at about 76 to 80 miles an hour. Here's your relative position between the first and second boat. Your first place boat just rounding off the fifth buoy. The second place boat is Maverick, and the third place boat, Shanty, is just moving into the top of the north corner, and Gale 5 is just coming up to the deceleration buoy. And Shanty is moving up now on the field in fourth place. End of lap 2 for the Hawaii Kai in first place. Hawaii Kai running in first place. Here comes the Maverick in second place. Maverick is 8 seconds behind. Here's your south corner camera that gives you a picture of Hawaii Kai, Jack Regas from California, as the driver, moving into the south corner. Miss Thriftway, the defending champion, is third over the line, and she is 18 seconds behind the leader. In fourth place is Gale 5, and the Shanty is coming up real hard now in fourth place out of the north corner. With the rest of the boats, Breathless and one other stringer. Short Circuit is back. Breathless and Short Circuit are back. Shanty over the line in fifth place. She is 38 seconds behind the leader. The leader is Hawaii Kai in her third lap. She is a quarter of the way up the backstretch. Moving hard up the backstretch is Hawaii Kai, and Maverick is coming after her about 2 buoy lengths back, about 500 feet. The relative difference between first and second-wise, is about 8 to 10 seconds. Maverick in second place, 8 seconds behind, and the Shanty, or rather the Miss Thriftway, is going to have all she can handle in the Gale 5, which is coming up real hard on her. Shanty is running now up the backstretch, and there is a big duel on now. It's likely to develop between Miss Thriftway in third place and the Gale 5. Here is your duel as they approach the 3/4 mark of the backstretch. Gale 5 running real hard, and the Miss Thriftway, which turned in 2 30-mile heats of 104 miles an hour for 10 times around the course, is running real careful out there. The Maverick is running in second place as Muncie is trying to save himself. Here's your lead boat across the line. At the end of lap 3, Hawaii Kai is leading in this particular heat. Maverick is coming off the 1,000-foot buoy, 500 feet away from the finish of her third lap in second place, and she will be a total of 13 seconds behind in second place. In third place is Miss Thriftway. Coming down to the 1,000-foot mark is Miss Thriftway, Out in third place and fourth place is Gale 5 as you watch the boats go through third position. Gale 5 is having trouble engine-wise and falling back a little bit. The Gale 5 is 30 seconds behind the leader. Swiftway is 26 seconds behind the leader. Here's your third place boat going into the south corner. But Bill, of course, has 2 first place finishes already. So he's driving in there real cool, real careful, just trying to stay on the edge with the Maverick, which was quite a distance behind him in time-wise. Here's your lead boat, 3/4 of the way up the backstretch in her 4th time around the course. Hawaii Kai, which had trouble in her second heat section, is now really out of the way and moving. The Short Circuit and the Breathless running 6th and 7th are coming across the line right now. Breathless is 7th. Hawaii Kai through the top part of the north turn, closely pursued by Maverick, which is about 3 buoy lengths back, and the Miss Swiftway is running in third, and the Gale 5 is coming up real hard once again on that backstretch. Roy Doobie is driving a Detroiter up against a former Detroiter as Bill Muncie makes his home out here now. Out of the north turn area comes the leading boat, Hawaii Kai, coming down to the 1,000-foot mark, 500 feet away, and over the line. At the end of lap number 4, Hawaii Kai still running in first place. She's been there from wire to wire. Maverick rounding out of the north turn as the shadows begin to darken and deepen here in the Pacific Northwest area. We've been threatened by rain all day, but haven't had a bit of it. Here's Shanty, or rather Maverick, coming down to the line. Over the line at the end of lap number 4, she is 15 seconds behind. Her speed, Swiftway's averaged 99 and 100 miles an hour in third place, and the Maverick 103, 102, and 102. Swiftway in third place as the Maverick in second place goes to the south corner, and Gale 5 is creeping up on Miss Swiftway as they go down the stretch toward the south corner. Gale 5 is in fourth place, 30 seconds behind. She's just a second behind Swiftway in third place. The Shanty is coming up now, has moved into contention, but she's only in 5th place. She got off to a bad start. She missed the buoy. Here's the lead boat, halfway up the backstretch, moving very easily, very nicely, as the south turn reveals to you, the boat's moving in there real hard. The Hawaii Kai moving into the north turn area. In second place is Maverick approaching the north corner. And the 2 boats fighting out for 6th and 7th. They're having quite a dogfight for themselves out of the north corner. So that's the situation with the various boats out here spread all over the course. Here comes the Hawaii Kai off the north turn area on her 5th time around the course. Short Circuit running in 6th place. And Breathless now passes her at the end of the lap and goes into 6th. And we have Short Circuit 7th. A 7-boat field, and they're still all out there. And it's Hawaii Kai coming across the line. At the end of the 5th lap, she's still out in front, number 1 in this particular heat. But she only has 400 points. And the way they're going out there looks like they're all going to finish. We're at the halfway mark, with the leader being Hawaii Kai, and Maverick, the second place boat, is over the line. She was 15 seconds behind at the end of the 4th lap. She is still 15 seconds behind. In third place is Miss Swiftway, moving real hard, and the Gale is coming up on her very hard. Here's your first place boat going through the south turn, and there's going to be a lapping taking place from the 6th and 7th place boats by your lead boat, Hawaii Kai. Miss Swiftway running in third place now, trying to stay in there. She has quite a bulge in totally lap time for bonus points, and she's trying to work real hard now for if she wants to finish, and she has to finish 1, 2, 3. She must particularly finish ahead of Shanty, which is only 100 points behind her, but is 2 positions behind her. Breathless and Short Circuit up the backstretch as your lead boat crawls up on them at the north corner. 3/4 of the way up the backstretch. Hawaii Kai moving in real hard on Breathless, the 7th place boat, and there could be a lapping curve through the north turn. Short Circuit is in 6th place, just about a buoy length ahead of Breathless, about 485 feet. Hawaii Kai coming up real hard as Maverick begins to pick up a little time and distance, and there is a terrific duel now up the backstretch between Miss Swiftway and Gale 5, driven by Roy Doobie. This is the 3rd drive of the afternoon they've had for Gale 5. Started with Bill Cantrell, came on with Lee Shannon, whose Gale 6 turned out to be a little bit sick engine-wise. And now Roy Doobie is in there going real hard. Looks like he's going to go by Miss Swiftway. Here comes Hawaii Kai as she laps the 7th place boat, just shy of the end of her 6th lap. Breathless is in 7th. And there's the lapping as Hawaii Kai at the end of the 6th lap is number 1. And she goes after the 6th place boat, and there'll be a lapping at the south corner on the 6th place boat. And the 2nd place boat comes down past the 1,000-foot mark. That is the Maverick. And she is better than 15 seconds behind in 2nd place. Here is your south turn area as the boats move through there, and there's a lapping in the outside corner, and we have Gale 5 now running in third place as Miss Tripway is being closely pursued by Shanty 1. Miss Tripway, the defending champion, has fallen off to fourth place. And Miss Tripway comes down to the south corner as the rest of the field springs out, and Hawaii Kai has now lapped both the 6th and 7th place boats and is halfway up the backstretch. Shanty 1 over the line and in 5th place. All right, let's take a look at the whole field as we start with Hawaii Kai, 3/4 of the way up the backstretch. And moving back down through the field, your 6th and 7th place boats are behind her after a lapping had taken place in this last lap. Maverick is the next boat down the line. And then we have Gale 5 running now in 3rd place, and the defending champion, Miss Tripway, with 2 first-place finishes in her section, coming out of the corner in 4th place. And the Shanty is coming after her real hard, and it looks like Muncie is trying to nurse his boat along. I don't think the defending champion has a well boat out there, and he is not more than 3 buoy lengths ahead of Shanty, who seems to be gaining on him. Now, let's take a look at the lead boat coming out of the north corner as she comes down to the 1,000-foot mark. This is her 7th lap. She is out in front in 1st place. The Maverick is coming up real hard on the 6th and 7th place boats, and there could be a lapping take place there on the next lap. At the end of lap number 7, Hawaii Kai is out in front. And here are the times on the back laps. 103 miles an hour for Maverick, 102, 102, and 102 in 2nd place. And for Hawaii Kai, we have a total of 113, 105, 105, 104, 101, 100, and 104 miles an hour average. In 3rd place, and that Shanty 1 is really gaining as the Gale 5 took a big leap and tries to get underway and does. Roy Doobie with a good drive. He hit a bad wake out there. And Tripway piling along out here, having a tough time back in the wake, and the Shanty is coming after her real hard. These 2 boats are the ones that are definitely in contention. So let's see what Muncie has to do here as he moves real slowly, real carefully, trying to hold his boat together. We are at the end of the 7th lap. For most of these boats, Shanty is 56 seconds behind the leader, and Gale 5 in 3rd place is 30 seconds behind. Tripway is 43 seconds behind. Going into the south turn is Tripway, the defending champion, moving through the south turn now as the backstretch comes into view. And we have Hawaii Kai moving up that backstretch real hard, and Tripway coming out of the corner in 4th place. And Gale 5 moving up real hard. Here comes the move out of the north corner for your lead boat, Hawaii Kai, as she's coming around on her 8th time around the course. Hawaii Kai, who had a 1st place finish and had the fastest heat time, 16 minutes, 23 and 4/10 seconds, is now coming down to the line, 500 feet away, at the end of her 8th lap, running number 1. Maverick has gone by breathless in 7th place, and the 3rd place boat is about to lap the 7th place boat, and there could be a lapping of the 6th place boat, short circuit from Detroit, driven by Chuck Thompson. Here's your north turn with all of those boats involved that we told you about. The short circuit trying hard to keep from being lapped by the Maverick, who is coming in on the outside corner. And now the Breathless is about to be lapped by Gale. And the Maverick gets by short circuit at the beginning of her 8th lap. Maverick is 29 seconds behind the leader, and your leader is well out in front, moving up the back stretch. As once again, Gale 5 has trouble, but she finally laps Breathless. Here comes the 4th place boat, Miss Tripway, over the line as the rest of the field moves up the backstretch. Tripway is now 50 seconds behind the leader. Gale 5 in 3rd place is 37 seconds behind the leader. And here comes Shanty as she is in 5th place. And let's see how far behind she is. Meanwhile, the leader, Hawaii Kai, is moving into the north corner on his 9th time around the course. Shanty is 1 minute and 7 seconds behind the leader. He's fallen off considerably. And Hawaii Kai has gone dead as Maverick comes on real hard. Hawaii Kai, after leading for a total of 8.5 laps, has gone dead in the north corner. And this is exactly the same thing that happened to her before, only it happened sooner. And so Maverick is moving into the north corner now and has taken over 1st place. And that means that 2nd place belongs to... and the Gale has gone out of the race. So we have Tripway moving into 2nd place. Maverick is 1st. The Gale 5 is running way wide over by the buoy line, 3/4 of the way up the backstretch. And here comes Maverick out of the corner. She's out in first place now with the Hawaii Kai dead in the north corner. So Maverick is your leader, coming down to the wire now, getting ready to start her 10th and final lap after running in second place for 8 solid laps. Starting the 10th lap is the Maverick, running in first place. But she's way behind on total elapsed time. Let's see how close she comes as Muncie, the defending champion, moves up into second place with the malfunction of the Gale 5. The short circuit has just passed us. She's still in 6th place, and the Breathless is in 7th as the Miss Thriftway comes down now, and the Shanty is moving through the north corner just behind Thriftway. Your south turn camera that shows you the short circuit moving in there. She's the 6th place boat at the moment. And the Miss Thriftway is moving real easily, trying to pick up a repeat win on her championship of last year. The Shanty comes across the line, and she is now in 3rd place. Thriftway is 2nd, Shanty is 3rd. Gale 5 is still crawling around on the outside, but looks like she's going to go over to the pit. Gale 5 has dropped out of it. So 1 out of the 7 has quit. In fact, 2 out of the 7 have quit as Hawaii Kai is dead in the north corner. Moving up the backstretch is the Maverick. The Maverick moves to the 3/4 point of the backstretch. She is in 1st place, and in 2nd place is Miss Thriftway. And Miss Thriftway is in her 10th and final lap, and so is your leader, Maverick, as the rest of the field stretches out. And we have a lapping occurring on the 7th place boat, Breathless, with Miss Thriftway moving to the outside, about a halfway up the backstretch, as the Gale 5, with Roy Doobie at the wheel, keeps limping around out here. And the Gale 5 has now slipped to 4th place. The Breathless is still running, well, would make her 6th place now in the short circuit in 5th, as we have Hawaii Kai out of there, and the Gale 5 is still moving a little bit. So 1 out of the 7 is out there, and Miss Thriftway goes by Breathless and laps her just at the approach to the north corner. And the Maverick is having trouble. She's swinging fairly wide, but I don't think that she'll come down. Now there she is. She's picking up real hard. Here she is coming down, ready to get the checkered lap. And the Miss Thriftway is running in 2nd place. Maverick over the line. Winner of heat number 3. Bill Steth. And we hear some of those Texas guns the Bill Wagner's drove down here, whooping and hollering it up. Here comes your 2nd place boat, the defending champion, taking 2nd place in this, which came into this heat with a total of 700 points, is now running in 3rd place and has just finished her 10th lap, and she finished a total of 39 seconds behind her teammate, Maverick, who was the leader. Maverick first, getting a total of 400 points for this heat effort, to be added to what she already has, and Thriftway getting a 2nd place finish, giving her a total of 300 plus the 800 that she has, and Shanty getting 3rd place to add to the 700 that she already has. You are watching the 50th Annual Gold Cup Regatta, coming to you from Seattle, Washington. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to have you meet 2 men who are quite famous in the world of unlimited hydroplane racing. You heard from them vocally just prior to the start of this race. Now I would like to ask them to draw on their some 30 years of experience in this field and give us an analysis. Immediately to my left is Joe Taggart, the driver of Slow Motion 4, which was the first unlimited hydroplane that we had in this area, owned by the former Stanley Sayers, who is now dead. And Lou Fagel, who drove for him. Both these men drove for Mr. Sayers, and he had 2 famous boats, Slow Motion 4 and Slow Motion 5. And Mr. Fagel was the man who survived the flip that we saw on the screen here just prior to the start of this heat. Well, gentlemen, let me turn things over to you and tell me, what did you think of the race?
That start and finish, what did you think of it?
Well, that was one of the best races I ever saw. A lot better than any I'd ever ran, I'm sure of that. I didn't know whether they were all going to be able to stay on the course. The Shanty didn't stay on the course going in the first turn. I don't know whether she got crowded off of it or not.
Well, it looked to me like she got crowded off. She got to the inside corner, and she must stay on this side of the buoy, on the shoreline side of the buoy, and she got in. She had to turn around and go back, and that lost her opportunity, I think.
Well, that looks exactly what happened.
That was a bad break. However, I think Thriftway had it made all the time. She had the point and the position to go. So it looked to me like the roles proved out today in a big way.
Well, now, we might ask you just for a brief explanation, what did Miss Thriftway have to do now? She didn't have to drive to win another position.
No, she didn't have to lead this heat, Bill.
Yeah.
All she had to do was to bring in a 2nd or a 3rd, at least that close to Shanty.
Now, this is a 90-mile race, literally speaking, with 2 stopovers, isn't it?
That's right.
Joe, from a driver's standpoint, what's the toughest heat? The third one when you get in there and you're going up for grabs, gentlemen?
Well, they're all tough, Bill. You got to get through the first two to get into the third one, you know.
So they're all equal in value.
That's right.
Lou,
Let's just listen to this.
Your mom up here. She wants you. Here she is. Hi, Mom. Get her down here. Get her down here. Come on, Bill.
Just watch this. Mr. Muncie, you proud of your son?
That's right.
Yeah. 1,500 points and a Gold Cup champion again. Wonderful. Bill, listen. Billy, New York, Los Angeles, all over the entire nation. You got a word for him, fella?
Hello, it's fun to win, and to all my friends in Detroit and my brother very especially.
Good for you, Bill. And Mrs. Muncie, you happy? Good. All righty. Well, if you don't think that isn't a happy moment, take a look. There's a wonderful crew as Bill Muncie runs through, and oh, there they go. Jack Ramsey. What? The whole crew is in, and along with the entire crew, Jack Ramsey, Bill Muncie, and they're all fighting in. I'm sure you can understand that this is one of the most thrilling moments for an unlimited hydroplane crew in the world. Basically, because of the work that they go through to make these complicated engines and delicate crafts actually operate, despite the thousands upon thousands of horsepower, and when I say that, I mean literally between 3,000 and 4,000 horsepower in some of these engines. These are delicate, fragile boats that require the ministrations of a very thoughtful, conscientious, careful, and loving crew. That's why the people of the Seattle, Puget Sound area and the entire Pacific Northwest have taken hydroplane racing so much to their hearts, because this is truly a tremendous sport, one that requires not only a great deal of courage, but skill and perseverance and a tremendous amount of patience. So perhaps it might appear like just a boat race, but this is the culmination of many long nights and coffee instead of dinner and just saying hello occasionally to the kids. Bill Muncie's father has come out from Detroit to see this race along with his mother, so this is a very happy occasion for them as well. Last year in the Gold Cup in Detroit, as you may perhaps know, the decision was contested. Originally, the decision was given to Miss Pepsi on the basis of disqualifying Tripway for cutting a buoy. But they've got Ted Jones now, the man who designed this boat and is its mentor. And Ted looks like he's going to take a little swim in the water, too. And here he comes, Ted Jones, the man who is designing by himself. This is the man who designed the three-point hydroplane and actually took the Gold Cup originally from Detroit with the slow-mos. The old hydroplanes are 1 point, and the ones you've seen operate today are really of a revolutionary design. So these three-point hydroplanes are now the standard for the world. And if you enjoyed this third and final heat of Gold Cup 1957, you can certainly understand why it is so. There is a happy group of people. The Rolls engine and Thriftway certainly held on. Bill drove what was a very smart race, actually, holding back, not pushing all the RPM to it that he could have done so, but just riding a steady race in order to finish and to get his total points. As we understand unofficially that the total points are 1,500. But at any rate, there's no question this time, I'm sure, that Miss Thriftway is the winner. We hope that you've enjoyed this lovely moment and this wonderful moment for the crew. Chuck Glassford over there is a fellow who has been nursing Miss Thriftway over at Ted Jones' home on the other end of the lake, and he is really, really happy. So at this moment, let's go back to Bill O'Mara on the barge.
You're watching the 50th Annual Gold Cup Regatta coming to you from Seattle, Washington.
Willis, keeping America on the move with the Jeep family of four-wheel drive vehicles.
Do we have the order of finish? I don't have the names. All right, here on the barge, we can spell it out for you. Miss Thriftway successfully defended her championship and picked up a total of 1,500 points. She arrived at that
by getting a second-place finish and 2 first-place finishes to give her 1,100 points on her heats 1, 2, and 3. Bonus points, a total of 400 on her lowest, on the total elapsed time for the full 90 miles. And a tough effort by Shanty, going almost for naught. So you have to hand it to the Miss Thriftway, as for the second year in a row she comes out on top. And this, the Indianapolis big one, the big Kentucky Derby of unlimited hydroplane racing. Shanty gets a second place out of it, the Wagner entry, having a total of 925 points for second place. And third place, a total of 869 points. Quite a bit of celebration going on down there at the moment. Goes to Maverick, a total of 869 points. And then 638 points goes to the next finisher, and 620. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the way we spell it out down here. And, of course, the big opportunity goes to the winner of the Gold Cup for this year, the defending champion, Miss Thriftway. The Gale 5 picks off the 4th place spot, so you have a Detroit entry getting the 4th place spot. And getting a 5th place spot will be a Short Circuit with 620 points. Miss Thriftway, Shanty, Maverick, Gale 5. We're trying to put them up there in a hurry for you, and I think we'll wait a little bit and see if the boys can get themselves squared away. Short Circuit picked off 4th place. Checking them for you very carefully. The crowd begins to gather down here. We've had beautiful weather for this event. This is the 50th annual Gold Cup, the Golden Gold Cup as we called it, and I'm quite sure that what we have seen out here indicates that they're going faster and they're doing a better job of it, and the boats are holding together in much better fashion. Miss Thriftway, the winner, picking up a bonus effort of 400 points on total elapsed time, and so your winner once again of the 1957 Gold Cup Championship, the defending champion, Miss Thriftway, driver Bill Muncie, representative owner of the Associated Grocer Group, Willard Roads, with designer Ted Jones, who designed this 3-point unlimited hydroplane. Now, Tom Dargan.
Well, Dick Ross, who was kind of pulling a little bit for Hawaii Kai.
My heart fell when she went dead in that last.
And Chuck Herring, who I think was being pretty objective, and Bill Corcoran are pretty excited. We certainly hope that you are too. Perhaps not having the empathy that we might have with any individual boat, but we hope that you were able to share with us the thrills of Gold Cup 1957. Any comment that any of you boys have about this one as compared to races in the past?
Well, all I can say is the colonel who took second place, Colonel Rush Slay, is going to be safety officer at Travis Air Force Base.
Yes.
And I think that's a fitting assignment.
I think that's about the biggest comment we could make. How about you,
By the way,
Dick?
Tom Dargan stays dry after this race,
Yes.
I noticed.
Well, I did this time because I hung back and there was a lot to say. I would like to say this on behalf of all you fellows, all of the engineers of King Television here in Seattle, and all of our staff. That it's been wonderful being with you. Our directors today have been Lee Schulman and Bernie Carey, technical director Stan Carlson.
The 1957 Gold Cup race has been brought to you by Willis Motors, world's largest manufacturers of four-wheel drive vehicles. The Universal Jeep, world's most useful vehicle. The rugged Jeep truck that hauls a ton or more. And the exciting new forward control line, including the FC-150. And the biggest, newest of all Jeep trucks, the forward control FC-170. Be sure to watch the new Maverick show beginning Sunday, September 22nd on ABC TV.